Hello everybody, welcome back to American Textbook Reading. We're going over Lesson 9 today, and we're continuing with the subject of Earth Sciences. Lesson 9 is talking about natural resources. So, we will discover in this lesson different types of natural resources. So what exactly is a resource? That's one of the words that we'll study in this lesson, but just very quickly, a resource is something we use from nature, right? And we've got a video here. We're going to see a video of what we can use from nature. Now, if you take a look at this picture, you probably see something odd looking or strange looking, and that, of course, would be these windmills in the background. They are not natural, of course. We see trees, we have grass, we have an open area, open field. By the way, if we look at this picture, we can see all sorts of resources. But the resource we're going to focus on, of course, is wind. Let's take a look at the video here. The video here that we're seeing is wind. And what is wind doing? Wind is actually a resource. We can use it. We can use it to get power from it. So if we build a windmill like this in nature or in the plains, what happens is that wind that we're using as a natural resource will spin that turbine, will spin those blades, and it will create electricity. It will generate electricity, and we can use that for our home. But if you think about it, actually, all of this, we're using all of these things for resources. We're using the ground, the soil, as a resource to grow plants, right? So there's a lot of different things from nature that we use, and we call these resources. A natural resource, we're talking about this, of course, is something from nature that people can use. Water, air, wood, and minerals are natural resources. So like I said in that picture, and in this picture too, when we look, all of these things we can use as a resource. We can use the ground to grow crops. We can use the trees to build houses. We can use the wind to capture their energy and turn that energy into electricity. So we're surrounded by natural resources. We're surrounded by nature. We can use those resources to help make our lives better. But of course, we have to be careful about using those resources. We can't use too much too fast, and we have to make sure that we leave enough for other reasons or other people that will come after us also. So that's an interesting thing. But we use all sorts of different resources or materials as resources. Let's take a look. A mineral. One of the things that I talked about on the previous side is minerals. You of course know water, air, and soil. You know that. But what exactly is a mineral? This might be a different word for you. A mineral, though, is very important in our daily lives. We may not think about it, but we use minerals all the time. A mineral is basically a substance that comes from rock and soil. Minerals are non-living things, but be careful. A mineral is different from a rock. A mineral is a certain type of chemical element that comes all together in rock. Okay, now this is a rock, right? A rock is not a mineral. A rock is made up of different kinds of minerals, all clumped together. That's a rock. If we take that mineral apart and we just have the one mineral, then we call that's the mineral. Okay, so it's interesting that a rock is not a mineral. Let's take a look at a video of a mineral. Now, it might not be an exciting video because minerals don't do anything. They are non-living things. They don't move. But let's take a look at the video, okay? This, of course, is a mineral, and we can see it through a magnifying glass. And if you take a magnifying glass and you look at minerals, some minerals are very beautiful and very interesting to look at because they have certain shapes. They have geometrical shapes, which are very interesting to look at. You know, some of this is an okay mineral, but some minerals have crystals, right? And all different kinds of shapes, different kinds of colors. Some of them can be very beautiful, especially if you look at them with a magnifying glass. By the way, this is a magnifying glass. Magnifying glass. Is my head in the way? Magnifying glass, okay? And we put glass here because what does it do? It's a piece of glass which magnifies. It magnifies, it makes it larger. So we call that a magnifying glass. And we can see small things with the magnifying glass. And we can take a really good look at minerals with a magnifying glass. Okay, another type of resource that we use that I talked about already a little bit is wood. And of course, wood comes from trees. We cut them down, chop the branches off, and what we have left is wood. The material from trees used to make paper, furniture, etc. Etc. includes houses, walls, right? Roofs. A long time ago, before people really started using steel or concrete, wood was the primary source for making homes. Most homes were made from wood. But again, we've got to be careful about using too much wood. We have to leave some trees in the forest to grow and make new trees. We can't take them all at the same time. So we have to be careful about how much wood we use at a certain time. Of course, it doesn't look good either if we cut down a whole forest. What people will do now, they'll go in the forest and they'll take a tree here and a tree there. They won't cut down the whole forest. They'll cut down trees here and there and leave most of the trees standing. And that's good practice. That's good policy. But anyway, wood is a type of natural resource. Okay, another resource is gold. Now gold, we were just talking about minerals, right? Gold is a type of mineral. It's a very famous type of mineral. Why is it so famous? Because gold was used for money for thousands of years. It still is used as money. But of course, we don't usually use gold as money because if you put it in your pocket, well, it's very heavy to carry around. It's also very expensive. We see that gold is a precious. What does precious mean? Precious means expensive, right? It's very expensive. It's very valuable. Why is gold precious? One of the main reasons is because gold is very rare. I've heard before that if you took all the gold that has ever been found and mined in the world, you would only be able to cover a tennis court, one tennis court, up to a certain height with that gold. Think about that. That's not a lot of gold. So gold is rare. That's why it's very precious, okay? It's also yellow. The color is yellow. It's bright yellow. It's a shiny yellow. And the reason, that's one more reason why gold is precious, is because it's very beautiful. When people see gold, they say, wow, it's shiny. It looks attractive. So people are attracted to it. And one more reason why gold is precious is because gold is soft. People who work with gold can easily change its shape. It's very easy to work with. So it's soft and it doesn't shatter. You can make it into a ring. Of course, I have a silver ring. I don't have a gold ring. I don't have that much money maybe. But anyway, gold can be made into rings, into earrings. I wouldn't wear earrings. Or necklaces. Sometimes you see guys with big heavy gold necklaces on. So gold is also used a lot for jewelry. Okay? So gold, a precious yellow mineral. Gold is used for jewelry, as I've just said. Rings, earrings, necklaces, bracelets, all types of different jewelry. So this is why gold is precious and it's very famous. Used for money, used for jewelry. Okay. Also, another famous type of mineral is silver. Now, silver is similar to gold. It's also been used for money. It's also used for jewelry, but it's not as colorful as gold, and it's not as rare. Silver is more common than gold, so it's not as expensive. Silver, we can see the color. We can say it's a shiny gray mineral. Like I said, my ring is silver, right? So it's a shiny gray colored material, as you can see here. Silver is used for making knives and forks. In fact, we have a word in English that we usually use to talk about that, and we call it silverware. Silverware. Silverware, if you go to somebody's house and they talk about where is the silverware, they're talking about the knives, the forks, and the spoons. So knives, forks, and spoons made from silver, we call that silverware. Now, rich families in the past, their knives, forks, and spoons were actually made of silver. So that's why they called it silverware. And of course, silver is also used sometimes for money. It's also used for jewelry. Okay? But silver is another very common type of mineral. Another very common type of mineral that's similar in style as gold and silver is copper. Of course, copper is a lot more common than gold, and copper is an orange mineral. Why do we use copper? By the way, copper is also used as money. A long time ago, they used copper also as money. So the most expensive mineral we've talked about, we can go gold is the most expensive, right? Gold is the most. Then we have silver. That's in the middle. Oops, I forgot my L. Silver is here. My V is very big. Okay. Okay, silver. And then we have copper. That's in the middle. Okay. And then copper is very common. It is also the least expensive. Copper is common. It's also the least expensive. So we could say least expensive. And that's important because I'll explain in a bit. But copper is the least expensive. Gold is the most expensive. Silver is in the middle. Okay, so copper is an orange mineral. It's orange, okay, if you take a look at it. Electricity travels through copper. So although we did use copper a lot for money, and we still do, if you look at the American money, the penny is made of copper. So, you know, it's a very small coin, but, you know, it's not that valuable. Copper is the least expensive. But copper, the most we use copper for is for wires, electricity. When we want our electricity to come from our plug in the wall to our computer or to our electronic device, that wire is made of copper. Now, by the way, it's interesting to note, we can use gold, silver, or copper to move electricity. In fact, gold is a much better mineral for moving electricity. Electricity moves much more quickly and efficiently through gold than it does through copper, but we don't use gold in our wires. Why not? Because it's the most expensive. Okay? If you had gold wiring in your home would be worth a lot of money and it would be too expensive. So we have to use copper. Copper is good enough to use to move electricity through. By the way, we could also use silver, but again, silver is too expensive to just use in a wire. So most of the time we use copper in electronic devices or in the wiring in our houses. Okay, so let's move on. Now, we were talking about natural resources before, and I made the point that, you know, we have to be careful when we use natural resources. We don't want to harm the environment. Now, things that are harmful cause harm. Some factories give off harmful material into the air. So if the factories are using natural resources, they might be burning something. Another natural resource that is not talked about here is coal. Coal is another type of mineral. And perhaps a factory will burn coal to produce electricity. What happens? When you burn something, you get a lot of smoke. Right? You get a lot of smoke. And if there's a lot of smoke in the air, that coal is going up, it's getting into the air, that's not good for the atmosphere. If we breathe it, that can be harmful to us. If it falls down and gets into our water, that can be harmful to us. So we have to be careful how we use natural resources. Okay. We want to protect the environment. We want to keep our environment clean. We don't want to cut down too many trees. We don't want to use up all the water. We want to keep most of our environment, we have to keep it clean. Clean, of course, means not dirty, right? When you go home, if you've been playing outside and you go home, it's time to eat dinner, your mom looks at your hands and says, hey, your hands are not clean, they're dirty, okay? So go clean your hands. Get rid of all the dirt, all the pollution off, all the pollutants, the dirt off of your hands. So clean air and water is good for people. Of course, if we breathe in clean air, that's very good for us, right? There's no smoke in the air. There's no harmful substances in the air. We need clean air. We also need clean water. When we drink water, it has to be clean. There shouldn't be any harmful things in the water that we drink. Okay. Now let's take a look at a chart for natural resources. And these are a lot of different types of natural resources. Most of them we've covered. Some of them we really didn't talk about, but let's talk about them now. So we have very interesting natural resources, or lots of different natural resources here. First, let's talk about air. We've talked about air a little bit. Of course, we use air the primary use of air is to breathe so we can keep living, right? We need our air to be clean. But we can also use air, especially the movement of air, which we call wind. We can use that to generate electricity so that we can get, and that's, by the way, that's a very clean source of energy, right? We don't have to burn anything to capture wind energy and turn it into electricity. The next one, mineral. We talked about different types of minerals. We talked about gold, silver, copper. There are some different types of minerals pictured here. Let's take a look at a video of a certain type of mineral here. Now this is like I said, you take the magnifying glass and you look at minerals, right? You have different kinds of crystals here. And this is a very nice or beautiful sample or example of a mineral. And of course, it looks like somebody has collected lots of different minerals and they're kind of showcasing it. But minerals occur naturally in rocks, right? We can take them from nature. And even if it's not valuable or we're not going to use it for anything, we can admire it for its beauty and we can study it for its structure and its color and its shapes. And it's a very interesting or very beautiful thing that we can get from the ground, minerals. Okay. Animals. We didn't talk about animals as a natural resource before, but if you think about it, of course we can use animals as natural resources. Most of us eat meat, right? Where do we get it? We get it from animals. We can also use animals for their skins, right? Sometimes you see leather. A leather jacket is made from an animal's skin. So we use animals for natural resources as well. Okay? The next one we use are trees, and we talked about that before. This is a forest. It's a very thick forest. There's lots of trees here. Again, we shouldn't go in and cut down all the trees, right? That would be terrible. It would look horrible, and it would not be good for the environment. So what companies are doing more and more nowadays are going in and taking out trees here and there. They don't take all the trees in an area. They take trees from different parts of the forest, and then leave most of the trees there so that the forest continues to grow and grow new trees. And that's a more responsible use of our natural resources. The next one on our chart is soil. We didn't talk about that. We talked about that in a previous lesson. But soil, of course, is another type of natural resource, a very important natural resource, right? Because without soil, we can't grow plants that we eat, right? If you like to eat tomatoes, you need soil. If you like to eat corn, you need soil. You don't have to eat soil. You need soil because we grow these types of plants in soil. So soil is a very important natural resource, and we have to protect soil. Sometimes if we cut down all the plants in an area and there's a strong wind, the wind can blow that soil away and it's gone, right? So we have to be careful about protecting the soil because we need it in order to grow the food that we need to eat to survive. Our final roundup of natural resources over here is water. And of course, we drink water, so we need water. We should drink a lot of water every day to keep our bodies healthy. So we use water for a natural resource, and the most important way is that we drink it. But we can also use water in other ways. Just like we use moving air to generate electricity, we can also use moving water to generate electricity. And these are called hydroelectric dams, right? So we can get electricity from water as well. And we also need water to put into the soil to grow our plants. We also need water to give to the animals that we raise on farms. So water is a very, very important natural resource. We use it for a lot of different things. Okay. Let's move on to the exercise, kind of a comprehension. Let's have a little test to go over the words that we've just learned, the vocabulary. Our words that we're going to use in this exercise, we're going to use mineral, copper, wood, silver, gold, and natural resource. Now, it's interesting to take a look at this group of words. I'm going to single out natural resource. Natural resource right here doesn't belong on the same level as all of these other words, because natural resource describes the large group and all these other words fit inside that group, right? Natural resource is our umbrella word. It's our word that describes the entire group. Wood, copper, gold, mineral, silver belong inside that umbrella, inside that group that is defined by natural resource. Okay, let's go over the sentences here. The definition is, An orange mineral which electricity travels through. Now the important point here is orange, because as I said before, electricity travels through copper, gold, and silver, right? Copper, gold, and silver. By the way, mineral over here is also an umbrella word because copper, gold, and silver fit inside that word, right? So natural resource, mineral, copper. If you're going to go on like a chain, you have the biggest word natural resource, smaller word mineral, inside mineral, copper, silver, gold. Okay? So, but anyway, we're talking about this definition here, and the important point, like I said, is orange. If you got rid of orange, if you just said a mineral which electricity travels through, you could choose copper, gold, or silver, and that would be correct. But the key point is orange. Is silver orange? No. Is gold orange? No, it's yellow. Is copper orange? Yes, copper is orange. So copper is the only one that fits with that definition. That is their answer there because of the color. But it's interesting to note that electricity will pass through all of those three minerals. Okay, number 2. Something from nature that people can use. Something from nature. Sounds like one of those big words, those umbrella words, right? Something, anything from nature that you can use. We call that a natural resource. That's our umbrella word. That's the biggest word that encompasses all of those other small words. Okay. 3, a shiny gray mineral, which is used for making knives and forks. A shiny gray material is our key part right here. Just, oops, I went too far. Our shiny gray material, shiny gray is our color, and of course we're looking at these 3 minerals here. Do we make knives and forks from copper? We could, but is copper shiny gray? No. Do we make knives and forks from gold? Well, some people actually do. Some very, very rich people do have gold knives and forks in their houses, but is gold shiny gray? No. Is silver shiny gray? Yes, and actually silver is the most common mineral which is used to make knives and forks, and that's why we call it silverware, right? So it's the most common. I mean, we could use any one of these minerals to make knives and forks, although I don't know of anybody. Well, actually some copper pots and pans are common, but a gold, very rare, very expensive, but silver is the most common one. So if you chose silver, that's correct. But of course, the most important part here is shiny gray, the color. That's the color of silver. Okay, let's move on to 4, 5, and 6. 4 is the material from trees used to make paper, furniture, etc. The material from trees, right? Before I said mineral is one of our big words. Copper, gold, and silver fit inside of mineral. Minerals are from the ground. Wood does not fit underneath mineral, right? Wood, where does wood come from? Wood comes from trees, so that's our answer. The material from trees, and of course we make paper, we make furniture, we make walls of our house, we make the floors, the nice wood floor above the ondel, it's usually wood, it's a nice look to it, so we use wood to make those types of things. 5, a precious, we have 2 keywords here, precious, precious, no I'm just kidding, okay, we also have yellow, okay, so we have a precious yellow mineral. Of course our keyword is yellow, because we're talking about mineral. Remember, copper, gold, and silver are all minerals. Silver is precious, true. Copper is precious, but gold is the most precious, right? Okay, gold is the most expensive, and it's also yellow. Mineral used for making jewelry, which is used for making jewelry. Of course, we're talking about gold. It gives it away by yellow and also by precious. Gold is the most precious. 6, a substance that comes from rock and soil and is a non-living thing. So some type of substance that comes from the rock, okay? And it also comes from the soil. There's little parts in the soil, actually. Minerals are also good for plants. Little minerals, not the ones that we saw in the video. A plant wouldn't be able to, well, a plant might be able to use it over time, but we also have minerals in our body, right? And very small pieces of minerals. I would not recommend going out and eating a large piece of zinc, right? That wouldn't be good for you. But in your food, you do have small minerals. You do need zinc, for example, for your body. And if you take vitamin pills, usually they have minerals in those too, and that's good for you. Although these things are non-living, they come from rock, and soil is a non-living thing. These, of course, are minerals. So it's also important when you take your vitamins in the morning, your vitamins should probably have some minerals in it. And by the way, copper is also something that our body uses, right? We can eat copper. Don't go eating the wires in your house. That's crazy, right? You always get electrocuted. But we have very, very, very small parts of copper, zinc, and other minerals in the food that we eat. And our body needs those minerals in order to be healthy. So that's another interesting point about minerals. Okay, let's go over a chart here, and we're going to talk about different types of minerals since we're talking about minerals anyway. We have the types of minerals here, and these are different ones. We talked about gold before, but we can also talk about graphite, and we can talk about aluminum. Aluminum, okay? By the way, it's an interesting word, aluminum. Americans will say aluminum. British people will say aluminium. Okay, so this word actually split a long time ago, and it's a kind of a long story behind it, but just remember, Americans will say aluminum, British people will say aluminium, okay? So depending on the pronunciation, you can tell if a person is from America or from Britain or a former British, country that's a country that's closely associated with Britain, for example, Australia or New Zealand. Okay. We have those types, we have the pictures in the middle, and on the bottom we have some descriptions about those. Minerals come from the land, minerals are found in rocks and soil. We actually have a video of gold. I'm going to show the video first and then we'll come back to this. But you can see the gold here. Remember when I said gold is used as money? It's also used as coins. This looks like an Olympic coin. Now of course people don't, you wouldn't go into a supermarket with this coin and say, here, I'm going to pay for my groceries. No, you wouldn't do that. Usually, I mean, you could use it for money. You could go to the bank and they will give you money for this coin. But usually people, when they have this type of coin, it's a collector's item. They want to collect it and keep it because it's nice. It's neat to look at. It's nice to collect, kind of like stamps, the same thing. But this is the mineral. And when they finish melting it down and making it into a shape, like I said before, gold is used to make a shape, they can make coins like this. Let's take a look at a video of gold. This is what gold looks like when we take it out of nature, before we change its shape and make it into jewelry or a coin. You can see the person is moving it. Look at how shiny it is. Look at how bright yellow it is. It's very attractive, isn't it? And that's one of the things that makes gold expensive and precious. That's why it's so, it's very expensive. It takes a lot of money to buy gold. By the way, gold is very heavy too. If you had a gold bar, just a gold bar like this, just this size, that would be very, very heavy to carry around. So this person, they have a small nugget or a small chunk of gold. By the way, when you have a pure gold, of gold like this that has a random shape, we call that a nugget. Especially if you go into the nature and you just see, if you're very lucky, you see gold nuggets lying around. That's what a long time ago, especially in the American West, old prospectors would go around looking for gold nuggets, and they would take the sand and the soil with the water, swirl it around, and try to find gold nuggets on the bottom. If some guy found a gold nugget this big, he would really, really be happy. He would have a lot of money right there. That's worth a lot of money. Okay, so that's gold. We also have graphite. Graphite. What is graphite used for? As you can see, graphite is kind of a dull, gray, almost black color, but graphite is very, very popular. You probably carry around graphite with you every day. When you go to school, you use graphite. As you can see, graphite is the material on the inside of your pencil. It's the substance that you write with. So when you're writing with a pencil, you're actually using graphite, and you're putting graphite onto paper. And that's how you can read your notes, because you're transferring graphite from this core in the side of your pencil to the paper to make letters and words. So it's very, very useful mineral. Over here, aluminum or aluminium, depending on where you're from, is used to make cans usually. Okay, and this is what aluminum looks like in nature, right? It has a different color. If we melt it down and turn it into a metal, the pure form of aluminum, of course, this mineral has some it's not pure aluminum. It has some other things in it. But if you take it and melt it down, heat it up, and you create a can from it, and you shine it up, it's very shiny, gray, of course, in color, but it's very useful. We can see aluminum all over the place. You know, soda pop cans also are usually made of aluminum. It's very lightweight as opposed to gold, which is very heavy. Okay, so all these minerals, they come from the land. We find them in the ground. Minerals are found in rocks and soil. Okay, so let's move on. Let's take a look. Write the correct mineral for each picture. Here we have aluminum, graphite, and gold. We've just talked about these different materials, so let's take a look. I will describe the picture to you. The first picture, of course, is of a pencil. And remember, we talked about that inner core of the pencil. The wood surrounds this mineral. What do we use it for? What is it called? It's called graphite, and we use it to write our notes at school or to write a note to your friend. Okay, over here we have a piece of jewelry. Now this is an interesting piece of jewelry. It looks perhaps like a bracelet that somebody might put around their arm. It's shiny, it's yellow in color, and it's very attractive. By the way, another thing about this particular material, like I said, it's very easy to work with. You can see some very nice detailed patterns. That's another feature of this mineral, that people who work with it can really work very easily with it and make very beautiful, nice patterns in it. And that's what's going on here. So what do we call this material? What is this mineral? This, of course, is gold. Okay? So this will be gold because it's yellow in color, it's very expensive and beautiful. Over here, this is more of a useful mineral, right? We use it a lot. It's a lot more common. It's not as expensive as gold, but it's usually used to make cans and containers, okay? And we, of course, call that mineral, this is called aluminum. Aluminum. Okay, we've got one more thing to do before we get into the reading, and that, of course, is true or false. We have these sentences here that we need to figure out if they are true or if they are false. So, number one, minerals come from rock and soil. We just talked about this actually, right? Where do minerals come from? Where can we find minerals? Of course, it is in the rock and soil. This is true. Minerals don't come from trees. It doesn't come from air. They don't come from water. They come from rock and soil. Okay, number two, minerals are living things. Is that true? If we see a piece of gold, if we watch it long enough, will it start to move and maybe crawl around on the table? No, it won't. Gold is not living, not living. Minerals are not living things. So whether it's gold, it's silver, copper, graphite, aluminum, it does not live. It is non-living. Okay, so they are not living things. Number three, natural resources are things from nature that people cannot use. So that people can't use natural resources. Is that true? No, that's not true, because one of the definitions we talked about, a resource is something that you can use. Natural means it comes from nature. But the most important point is resource. You can use it. You can use it. Natural resources are things from nature that people can use. So if you say cannot, that means it's false. Okay, well that about wraps it up for these vocabulary words. Next we're going to look at the reading about these words and about this concept. Let's take a short break. Hello everybody, welcome back to the reading section. Now we've talked a lot about vocabulary. We've studied some good vocabulary words about natural resources. It is now time to read a passage about natural resources. So let's get started. There are many natural resources. This is a good topic sentence, right? It's saying there are many. So obviously this reading is going to be about different types of natural resources. We're going to take a look at several different types of natural resources in turn. So before we do that though, we have another sentence about natural resources. This sentence has to do with the general topic about natural resources. It says, we use natural resources in different ways every day. So first we see there are many natural resources. Then we also see a sentence that says why natural resources are important to us. We use them every day. As we saw, we do. You probably carry around natural resources with you every day. And of course, you consume natural resources every day as well. First of all, we're going to talk about air and water. Air and water are very common types of natural resources. Here it says our natural resources. Of course, people need clean. That was one of our vocabulary words. We need clean water and air to live. If our water or air is dirty, it's harmful to our bodies and we cannot stay healthy. We need to breathe clean air and drink clean water to keep us healthy. Dirty water and air are harmful for us, okay? So this is important. We're talking about air and water. We're talking about some details about air and water. The fact that both must be very clean. If it's not clean, it's dirty, and then it becomes harmful to us, okay? So that's what this passage is talking about here. Now here's another resource that we didn't really talk about in the vocabulary but is introduced here, and it's another natural resource, and of course it's very important. Now you guys are younger, so you probably don't use this a lot, but when you get older this will be a very important resource in your life. And you may not realize it, but it already is an important resource in your life. Whenever you travel from your home to your school, whenever you go on a trip, whenever your parents take you somewhere, you are probably using oil. Oil is another natural resource. Oil helps a car move. We make gas from oil, right? Gas, when you go to the gas station, jujuso, right? When you go to the gas station, you get gas. You put it into your car. Where does gas come from? We use oil to make gas. So oil helps a car move, and cars help people travel. Oil helps a car move, cars help people move, right? So that's what's going on there. Like I said, anytime that you travel around, especially if you're going for a long distance and not walking or not riding your bike, you are using oil. Okay. Minerals are also natural resources, and we talked a lot about minerals, right? Minerals come from rocks and soil, so we can find them in the ground, in rocks, and also, important to notice, in soil too. Very small pieces of minerals. Gold, silver, and copper are very common minerals. We use those. We use those, or we have a lot of exposure to these. They're very common types of minerals. Gold is the rarest, actually, one of these three. Gold is the color of the sun. Well, that's an interesting sentence. Gold is the same color as the sun. If you look at, don't look at the sun, but if you see a picture of the sun, it's bright and yellow, right? Don't look at the sun. It's not good for your eyes. It's harmful to your eyes. But gold is the same color as the sun. Bright, shiny, yellow. You can look at gold, but don't look at the sun. Okay. Silver is shiny gray, right? That's here. So we're talking about the different colors, and copper is orange. Okay, of course here we have pictures of the different minerals. We can see gold down here. We know it's gold because it's shiny and yellow. Silver here is shiny gray, and of course copper is orange here. If you look at copper, you know, when you look at a wire, in the wire, the copper is very shiny, bright orange, right? This, of course, is from the earth. It's not that shiny color yet. They still have to take it to a factory. They call it a plant, a smelting plant, melt it down and make it pure. And then you have pure copper, and that's a very shiny orange color, and that's what they use to put in the wires in your house to move electricity around. Another natural resource is wood. Wood, of course, is also a natural resource. It comes from trees. We use wood to make paper. Not just paper, we use it to make furniture. For thousands and thousands of years, we have been using wood to make fire too, to warm our homes, to keep warm on a cold winter's day. So wood is a very important, historically very important natural resource. Now, what we're looking at here on the reading skill, we have a nice chart here. We have the main idea and details. So that's our reading skill. The main idea, of course, is that there are many types of natural resources. Natural resources are important for us. We use natural resources every day. That's the main idea. So this is the main idea here. We use beep in different ways. That's the main idea. And then we have the details that go back to this main idea, that are connected to this main idea. These are the words that we need to use to fill in these blanks. Let's start with A, in the main idea. We use beep in different ways. What do we use in different ways? What's that big umbrella word that includes all of the other smaller words that are types of natural resources? I just said it, natural resources. We use natural resources in different ways, right? Because natural resources is our big umbrella word. It's the larger word that covers all of the things that are natural resources, okay? What are the details of natural resources? We're going to talk about different ones, right? We have trees, minerals. Clean is an adjective, so we're going to have to use that somewhere here when we need an adjective. Let's look at B. We need beep, air and water to keep us healthy. So we have our noun, air and water. We probably need an adjective in front of those to describe what kind of air and water we need to keep us healthy. Which one was the adjective? I just said it was clean. So clean will be the adjective that we need to describe air and water. What kind of air, what kind of water do we need to stay healthy? Of course, we need clean air and water. Dirty air and water are not good for us. Those are harmful to us. So we need clean air and water. Okay, next one. Gold, silver, and copper. We talked about those three minerals, right? We talked about those three minerals when we were talking about, of course, minerals are types of natural resource that we use for different things. We use gold for jewelry, we use it for money, silver is used for silverware, also jewelry, and copper is usually used for conducting electricity. Okay, these are all minerals. Those are all good examples of minerals. Finally, wood comes from where? Where does wood come from? Wood comes from trees. We use wood to make paper. So again, if we take a look at our chart here, we have the main idea. The main idea, we use natural resources in different ways. Then we have details that support that main idea. This is a good writing technique. When you write something, you write down your main idea and then you write details that support your main idea. Okay, that's exactly what we have here. Okay, let's move on. Let's go do some reading comprehension questions. Choose the correct answer. So again, we have to choose A, B, or C to answer the questions or fill in the blanks. The first one is, what natural resource does a car use to move? So what do we use in a car to make it move? A, oil, B, gold, or C, silver? Do we put gold in cars to make a move? No, we don't. That would be really expensive and it would make the car really heavy. It wouldn't move. Silver is also too expensive. These two are minerals, right? We talked about oil before very briefly when we were talking about the reading, right? In the reading comprehension, we saw that oil is a natural resource that helps a car move. And by the way, it's not oil that we put in the car, it's gas that we put in the car. The gas is what we put in the car. The engine uses that gas. It burns that gas to make the car move. Now, it's true, you do put oil in your car, but that's a different place. You put oil in a different place in your car, and that helps the engine parts move because oil is a very soft, it's also a very, it's a liquid that doesn't go away like water, it doesn't evaporate. It's a liquid, but it's kind of a heavy but soft liquid that makes metal pieces, if they move against each other, it makes them move against each other very easily. And so we also put oil in the front part of our car to help the engine move up and down, those pieces, so that they don't rub against each other and create heat and explode, right? You don't want that. You want some kind of liquid that's going to stay there for a long time, and that's oil. But oil is also used when they change the nature of oil, the chemical property of oil, and they make gas out of that. So oil is actually used in cars two different ways, as gas and as oil, for different purposes. Okay, let's move on to number 2. Minerals are natural resources found in, where are minerals found? Are minerals found in air and water, A, or B, soil and rocks, C, gold and silver? C, right away, you can see it's a trick question. Minerals are found in gold and silver. It's tricky, right? Because gold and silver are types of minerals, right? So that's kind of a tricky question. It's not C. Are minerals natural resources found in air and water? Can we find gold in the air? Oh, I wish, but sorry, you can't find gold in the air. And gold does not float around in water. Gold, silver, and copper are heavy. They don't float in the water. They might be in the bottom of a lake or ocean, but they're not in the water. They are found in soil and rocks. Minerals are natural resources found in soil, in the dirt, and also in rocks. Okay, let's move on. Number 3 and number 4. Gold, silver, and copper are all minerals. True. Oh, here's another semicolon, right? So we're looking for a complete sentence, right, that is very similar to gold, silver, and copper. It's an extension or another detail that has to do with the fact that these substances are all minerals. Let's see what we have here. A, they are all used to make paper. Gold, silver, and copper are used to make paper? No, wood is used to make paper. B, but they have different colors. Oh, that is something we did talk about. What color is gold? Gold is yellow. What color is silver? Silver is gray. What color is copper? Copper is orange. So that's true. They all have different colors. Let's just take a look at C for practice. Gold is yellow, silver is orange, and copper is gray. Oh, that's also talking about colors, but be careful, slow down, hold on a second. Gold is yellow, true. Silver is orange? No, not true. Copper is gray? No, we got to switch orange and gray, right? We have to switch. If we switch these two, it would be true, right? But it's not that way, so C is wrong, right? Silver is not orange, copper is not gray. So B is true. Although B and C are very similar, but it's just a different style, right? Okay, so number 4. To keep us healthy, we need to do what? What do we need to do to keep healthy? A, breathe clean water and drink clean air. So have you ever done this? This would be very strange if you did this. Did you ever breathe water? Did you ever drink air? That's crazy, right? You can't drink air. You don't breathe water. You're not a fish. You can't breathe water. So A is not correct, right? That's absolutely not correct. They're just trying to trick you, right? B, breathe dirty air and drink dirty water. To keep healthy, you're going to drink dirty air and dirty water? No, again, that's crazy, right? You don't do that. Don't do that. That will make you sick, not healthy. C, breathe clean air and drink clean water. Aha, finally, all these things, they put them together in the right order on number C. That's the right answer, right? You breathe air. You need to breathe clean air to stay healthy. You drink water. You need to drink clean water to stay healthy. So C is the correct answer, right? A and B, they're trying to trick you by mixing the words around. But in C, that's the only choice where all the words are in the correct order. Okay, we have a nice chart here. We've seen this chart before. What we're going to do is review and see if we can fill in the proper words into this chart to label these pictures. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to describe each of these pictures, and then you guys guess what label goes into the pictures. First, let's start over here with this clear, hopefully fresh liquid that we can drink, right? It's a very, very important natural resource. The most common way that we use it is we drink it, but we can also get energy from it. If it's moving, we can capture that energy of the moving substance and turn it into electricity. We also need to give it to plants and animals, which are other natural resources that we use. So this is a very important natural resource. It's water. And of course, water needs to be clean to be of the best use for us. Over here, alongside with water, we have this substance up here. Not down here, but the substance that is invisible. We can't see it. We can breathe it, and that's the most common way that we use it. We can also use the motion of it to capture electricity, as we saw in the giant fan. I'm going to call it a fan. Actually, it's called a wind turbine, right? But what moves wind? What is wind made of? Wind is made, of course, of air. And air also needs to be clean in order for us to breathe it. Over here, we have some interesting looking, they look like rocks, right? But they're not exactly rocks, right? They're a type of rock. We can find these things in the rocks. We can find these things in the soil. And we use them for a lot of different things. We use them to move electricity from one point to another. We use them for money. We use them to write with a pencil. What are these things? We can call them minerals or mineral. So each one of these is a mineral. Gold is a mineral. Graphite is a mineral. Aluminum is a mineral. Okay, so mineral. Another type of resource that we're looking at, of course, we're looking at the creatures here, the living things, not the plants, but the things that can move around. And we have zebras and wildebeest. We find these in Africa, right? What do we use them for? Well, we don't actually use these animals to eat, but we would use cows. I've never heard of a zebra hamburger. Oh, that would be weird. But anyway, we use certain types of animals for food. We use certain types of animals for getting around. A long time ago, people used horses, right, to get around. Of course, these are called animals. You wouldn't use a zebra to ride on. Zebras they don't have a very nice personality. They'll kick you or bite you or try to get you to knock them off. So, you know, these animals, of course, are very nice to look at in the wild. They're very natural. So, but we leave them alone. We don't really use these animals, but we do use many other types of animals like horses, cows, chickens, as natural resources. Okay, over here, what we're looking at, of course, are these very, very tall plants that are growing in a forest. We use their material as wood, right, to make paper, furniture, parts of our houses. We call those, of course, trees. Trees are a very important natural resource. We use them for their wood. Finally, another very important natural resource that we might not think about very often, but is very, very important. We need this to grow plants, right? If we don't have this, we can't grow vegetables, we can't grow fruit, and obviously if we don't have vegetables or fruit or other plants that we can eat, then, you know, our lives would be not as healthy. We need those plants to be able to be healthy. So we need this type of material to grow the plants in. That, of course, is called soil. Okay, it's also one of the places where we can find minerals, small parts of minerals, because like I said before, the minerals will come into the plant. The plant will use it, and then we'll use it. When we eat the plants, we get the minerals in our bodies too. So that's another use for minerals. Okay, that about wraps it up. We'll see you guys next time, and I hope you've learned a lot about natural resources. So next time, today, tomorrow, when you're living your life, look around. See how many natural resources you can identify and how many natural resources you learned through this lesson. We'll see you next time, everybody. Take care.